Okay, this is slightly embarrassing. This one is recorded after the next chapter, where I said that was the third one I recorded. This one is actually the fourth one I've recorded, but my dumbass skipped a chapter, so we could record them out of order. So that makes me confused. So, business as usual on the side of the microphone, as usual. Just a quick shout out to the T5 peeps. Bob the Dragon, Cat Crab Lobster, Data Magnet, Dark Machine, Bezic, Try Again 95, Pudic Yol, Astrea the Dreamer, Casper Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Ithilia, Meridian 117, and Jordan Bucksmorm. Thank you very much. Anyways, on to the next part. All about the Lineads, Part 9. Sea of Language. Linead idioms and sayings tend to center around fish in the sea, as one might imagine. Visitors start smelling like fish after 3 days, or don't let that crackle put her tentacles around you unless you're bigger than she is, or the ocean holds all the mysteries that the Lineads lost. These sayings are of intense interest to the linguistics team of the Dross, but not really of interest to anyone else. They are only mentioned here so the linguistics team will finally stop talking. Dubic Review of Ontological Species Studies, all about Lineads, Sea of Language, published by Glass and Steel, all about Lineads, Translation Engine 3.1415. Each day, the Nonsuch would drop out of FTL. 2 trolls would take a shuttle and land on the planet. The Nonsuch would reposition towards the next planet, re-enter FTL, repeat, repeat, repeat. Okay, that might have been a bit of an exaggeration, but it didn't feel like one. Nerif felt like beating her head against the table. They couldn't use their compads, they couldn't go for a walk, all they could do was eat and sleep. The feeling of being trapped grew every day, and Nerif could feel it pressing on her from all sides. As a liaison, she announced, I have a proposal. I suggest we play a game involving knives and alcohol. Wow, Nerif funny, Alan said. That's probably not the best idea. Well then, how about a game of truth and or embarrassing actions, she said. Nate broke into a smile, his first real smile in days, and said, probably the safer option. Who starts? I will, Nerif said. Zoe, truth or embarrassing action? Nerif asked. Truth, Zoe said. If humans aren't psychic, how did you know that the troll in the hallway was up to something? Captain Rackham had been reading a collection of bound papers, stuck a finger in between the pages, and looked up with interest. Zoe shrugged. He acted guilty, she said. What does that mean? Nerif pressed. Well, Zoe thought for a minute. He twitched when he saw us coming, like he wanted to run away when he saw us, but then controlled it. Why would he want to run away? Because you were walking Bubsy, a creature you've gone to some lengths to convince everyone is very dangerous, said Captain Rackham. His remarks might have been a bit more serious if the dangerous creature he spoke of hadn't been curled up on his lap, sleeping. Nate shook his head. That was after, but Zoe's right. That guy was acting guilty as anything. Zoe nodded. So, first he twitched, then he said that he was looking for us. He asked us one question, directed us to talk to someone else, and practically ran down the hallway to get away from us, or to make sure that he wasn't present when we opened the door. Plus, he said that he was looking for us, but on the ship, if you're looking for someone, you ask the spirits to guide you to them. Nerif looked at Zoe. You got that all from a twitch, a question, and a departure. Nah, Nate said. She got that all because she's human. Zoe looked around for something to throw at Nate, but he waved her off. It's not a Space Ox thing. Humans are just really good at reading body language. We can tell if someone is embarrassed or happy or sad or angry just from how they look. True, Zoe agreed. We're a social animal, so being able to read each other was vital to our survival. But you do it too. Nerif shook her head. I can tell if one of my nesters is proud or angry by their feathers, but I can't tell if they're trying to hide something. It's just about seeing, Alan said. Look at our captain, for example. Everyone turned to look at Captain Rackham. In turn, he went back to reading his pages. Now tell me what you see, Alan directed Nerif. I see the captain reading bound pages and not paying attention to our game, Nerif said, after looking at the captain very carefully for a couple minutes. Not really, Alan said. He's pretending to read. In all the time you watched him, he hasn't moved his eyes past the same spot on the page. He hasn't turned a page, and now that we're talking about him, the tips of his ears are getting red. Well, redder. Ah, Querf said. He swung his legs down from the bunk and joined the team watching Captain Rackham pretend to read. Captain Rackham's ears did get even redder, and he ostentatiously turned the page. Now he turned the page, Tariff said. Does that mean that he's reading now? Nope, Nate said. If you asked him to tell you about what he's reading, he wouldn't be able to tell what he just read, unless he's read that book before, and just remembering from that. Interesting, Tariff said. That's a book. Well, one of the original things called books. Not like books today. Of course, it has the added benefit that you can read it even if you don't have access to your compad, added Sand. Nera focused her attention on the captain and propped her chin on top of her hands. So, Captain Rackham, truth or embarrassing action? I don't remember agreeing to play this game, Captain Rackham said. Too late, Dareth assured him. According to the rules, you have to object when the first brought up. So, which shall it be? The captain marked his spot with his finger again. If he hadn't been trapped by Fubsy on his lap, Nareth got the impression that he would have stood up and moved to the front of the cabin. She was thrilled at the idea that she was learning the human method of reading body language. The humans were really good teachers to teach her so well in just a few minutes. Captain Rackham sighed, putting Nareth from her thoughts. Embarrassing action, as long as it doesn't involve disturbing our fair lady here. Nareth narrowed her eyes at him. He was cheating, but did it well. Okay, she said. Read out loud from your book. The captain flipped to the front page and Nareth interrupted him. No, read from where you are now in the story. The captain coughed and turned even redder from his ears down to his neck. Well, you see, you picked embarrassing action, Nareth reminded him. Captain Rackham started reading aloud from his book. The troll pirate princess started nibbling on the captive's neck. I know what you're doing, princess, the captive said. But I think pizza delivery man will be here soon, and unless you want him as our third... You're reading porn, Zoe said in laughter and surprise. I'll have you know that it is great literature, the captain said, and just then the deck shuddered as they dropped from an empty L. Thank the nine, the captain muttered and dislodged Bubsy from his lap as he moved forward to the pilot's controls. Querif, you're with me, everyone else buckle up. The captain started flipping switches and opening the shuttle bay doors. Now we're never going to know if the pizza delivery man becomes their third, Tariff whispered, but just loud enough for the captain to hear him. Quiet, please, the captain ordered. We'll be making landfall in a few minutes, and then we're on our own until the nonsuch returns in her 7-day. As they grew closer to the planet, the island, shaped like a human symbol of a heart, grew in the viewport. The sky lit up with a rainbow of distorted light as the nonsuch reoriented and took off for the next planet. Steve's Island, Nareth said, and she could feel the excitement from everyone around her, without even using her new skills to read body language. I have one more question, Zoe, Nareth asked. How did you know that he was a male troll? What do you mean? Zoe asked. Well, it's easy to tell the females, Nareth said, but the males and the carriers look a lot alike. I wouldn't be able to tell them apart. So, how did you? There was a shocked silence from the seat next to her, and Nareth turned to look at Zoe. Bang me with a spoon, Zoe said. Didn't even think of her. I didn't know. End of chapter. And hopefully the start of reading these things in order. But hey, let's hope. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed. There are links down below, both to support this channel and for the author of this fiction. Anyways, I hope you all have a fantastic one, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.